Hey, what's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today I'm playing the World of Warcraft. Oh, today, yesterday, tomorrow, it's gonna take a little bit, but I can take that time and I can, really do this kind of long-winded, episodic video thanks to people like you, thanks to the subscribers, thanks to the people who like and comment, but mainly thanks, obviously, to the people who donated literally the hundreds of dollars so I could play this game, really focus on this. So thank you guys, Patreon, thank you guys, donators from twitch.tv/Skylent, thank you so much. I just have to say that and congratulate all of us as a community that we have come this far and we are going some pretty cool places. So this video, World of Warcraft, mid-game leveling, that's what we're doing, but this is an episodic series. MMOs are freaking big. Who would imagine, especially the World of Warcraft? So I did a video on the 1 through 20, the free-to-play experience. I think you guys are going to really want to watch that because I'm going to reference that back and forth here with this video, especially because the main one reason here, too long didn't watch, spoiler alert, it's a whole lot of the same stuff. A lot. Mostly. And actually done even worse than the 1 through 20. So that's what we're getting into. This is going to be definitely a rant. Let's do this. Alright, so to start out, I just want to clarify the mid-game levels that I'm going to be reviewing here for this video, and that's going to be levels 21 through 79. And that's because I was told that at level 80, that's when Miss Pandaria occurred, and that's when things started becoming a little bit more cinematic, a little bit more storied, and you start getting more of that modern WoW feeling and design philosophies. And at the same time, the early game, I already did a video on 1 through 20, and that was because that's the free trial, and that's also when max level really for that trial account, but also that's the level you're going to be whenever you do finish your racial starter zone. You have that big, cinematic experience with the goblins or the undead or whatever you do. You generally have a pretty okay starting zone. You got a story that you're thrust into the World of Warcraft, and then level 21, all of a sudden, you kind of pop out of it, and you just become a nobody doing nothing. There's little pockets of quests here and there. There might be some zones that you might like over others, but really, mechanically, you're just doing the same stuff with a slightly more boring twist. If there even is a twist. It's really just like, hey, I might need some flowers, collect some flowers, thanks. It's not quite, the same epicness that it kind of was when it was entwined with the story, with the cinematic kind of stuff. Yeah, so basically, that's what you're doing. 21 through 79, you are doing that. Everything you did 1 through 20, just with more abilities, maybe more mobs. It debatably is more, but it really doesn't feel like that. It really doesn't. I've already made a Demon Hunter. I definitely can see the comparisons and contractions I can make already. Seriously, 1 through 20 versus the mid-game, 1 through 20 is actually better, despite its disbalance and awkwardness, especially with mage classes. It's already, I can just tell you that right now. So that's because the mid-game, 21 through 79, is actually old World of Warcraft. Even though they retooled and kind of rebalanced the game to have a leveling, kind of similar to Guild Wars 2, where levels are a little bit more amoebus. There is a rebalancing, so whenever you fight monsters, they will be tuned to your level, or you'll be de-leveled, and it just kind of evens out just a little bit. It still isn't as free-flowing as Guild Wars 2. It's not like you can just level fully from just PvP or just dungeon running over and over again, and it's going to feel really good, and it's going to be really fast. No, it's more like you're going to be doing dungeons and PvP and leveling, and you can do it all at the same time, the open world, and it's still not going to be enough. It's still not going to feel good, and it's still not going to be refreshing, because you're just going to be running the same dungeons over and over again. PvP can be repetitive, but even though you do have a more fleshed out kit from 1 to 20, PvP is still not going to be good. It's still balanced for endgame. Even a lot of dungeons, especially with a class like Monk, it's not going to feel great because you don't have your full kit for that role, for that design, for that specification. There's going to be a lot of things that you wish you could do that, yeah, endgame you might be able to do that with that class, but as leveling, you're just going to be wishing you were at that level. You wish you were doing that fun content. You wish, basically, you weren't playing the mid-game of the World of Warcraft. So, I'm going to dive into each little specifics, the areas of leveling, which is going to be dungeons, PvP, and open world. And basically everything else that I might be missing is going to be talking about the leveling in the 1 through 20, because basically that's what you're doing. You are doing the 1 through 20 leveling, you're doing that stuff, but with far fewer cinematics, far less charm and love. Because the 1 through 20 was remade with the modern WoW principles and philosophies. So levels 1 through 20, and starting level 80, you're getting modern WoW. But tragically, 21 through 79 is, in my opinion, old WoW, but you still have the new class mechanics, so it just feels like garbage. Alright guys, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about and really rant about is going to be those dungeons, because that is going to be the main thing that you're going to hear people really recommend for leveling. And you have no excuse not to do dungeons, especially if you are a healer and a tank. But regardless, if you're DPS, what you will do, you know, whatever class, whatever role you're playing, the way to level is essentially queue for a dungeon, which if you're DPS will take a long time. I think like 15 minutes to 30 minutes sometimes, depending on where you are in the world. But for the most part, through leveling, yeah, you're just going to be sitting in a dungeon queue, and then you're going to be doing some open world leveling. Now, because of the rebalancing, they kind of made it easier in a way to kind of sit in one zone and kind of just grind that out and do that. So I kind of like that, you know, I kind of appreciate that. Before you just ran through it. But it doesn't mean that it makes it really that much better. It still feels like a slog. It's actually debatably even more of a slog now because things hit maybe a little bit harder. They have more health at least, and it just takes a little bit longer. So that's what you're going to be doing, is queuing for dungeons and open world, but the dungeons are the main meat and taters of how you want to level, and that's going to be really what you're looking forward to for the end game. You know, you want to do those raids, you want to do those mythic dungeons, you want to do that. You don't have access to any of that hard stuff. You don't have any access to any of that cool stuff. Even after level 60, which used to be the end game of World of Warcraft, you're not doing that end game. You're doing the new leveling stuff. Well, it's not really new leveling stuff. You're just doing the leveling stuff. So you're going to be skipping a lot of really epic things that people used to do, and you're just going to be doing the repetitious stuff. So when you start out leveling here, 21 all the way through like 60, 65, if you start a Death Knight, I do recommend you totally skip 21 through 40 or whatever. Just get a Death Knight. Even still, you're just going to be running the same dungeons. You only get a selection of just a few dungeons, and you're going to be running those over and over and over and over and over again. And normally that's not a bad thing when a game is designed with that in mind. A game like Warframe, procedural generation, even a game like BDO, because you have Invasions PvP, Albion Online as well, has a lot of intricate mechanics and things. But World of Warcraft is seriously freaking face roll. Even with the concept of maybe trying to make it more difficult, hopefully Battle for Azeroth retools it again, but it's not. The dungeons themselves are, that's what you want to do, that's how you want to level, and you will be doing a lot of dungeons, but oh my god, dude, it's so boring. You are playing the same dungeon over and over and over again. Also, the lower level dungeons, the 1 through 20 dungeons, were the ones that got retooled and are kind of fun. They have some more fun quests. Oh no, 71 through 79, those dungeons are boring. Now, I have to say, the endgame Northrend stuff, or what used to be endgame Northrend dungeons, the later dungeons seem kind of interesting. There are some kind of cool gimmicks. I can kind of get behind it. I'm beginning to see the cool stuff. But it's pretty obvious that some of the dungeons are missing mechanics because they're saved for the hard version of the dungeon. Now, I haven't actually played any of that. I have no idea what that's like. But I'm just telling you right now, in the vanilla state of these dungeons, it's not good enough. I think they all should just be like pulled up to Mythic. I don't know. As a new player, as somebody who doesn't really do these kind of things, like the, you know, group dungeon content, I'm telling you, it's fucking face roll. Excuse my language, but it is. Dungeons are boring. You're not only just playing the same dungeon over and over again, but every dungeon is basically the same thing. Very rarely, only like the newest Northrend stuff that you might get to, it begins to even have a kind of cool gimmick here and there. And sometimes the gimmicks are just boring, and you have to sit through like a role play thing, and you don't want to do that. So there's some hit or miss with that too. It's just boring. It's just frankly boring. It's repetitive, and it's just time wasting, and there's no challenge. And because there is no challenge, you're not learning the intricacies of your class. So for me, I learned more about my Death Knight by just watching YouTube videos and somebody like literally telling me how to play Death Knight, because I was not learning it. I was not feeling it. Past the opening experience for Death Knight, which I really shouldn't include in this review, but everyone can make a Death Knight, why not? You know, that was cool. I like the cinematic stuff. I had fun with that. But directly after that, you're dumped into the world, and you don't have any quests that teach you how to use your spells. You don't have any dungeons that really require any sort of thought whatsoever. You just run in and just spam abilities. Like literally, I've just spammed abilities and it works out. The only time I've ever died at a dungeon was because of a monk. Yeah. So I think I've already mentioned that in the video, but basically, yeah, monks have an awkward leveling experience, especially I think for healing. Some other classes seem like that too, maybe debatably shaman, but what I kind of mentioned with my level 1 through 20 is how, like, you're leveling, so you should have leveling abilities. Why am I getting mana replenishment abilities when I have full mana all the time? I should have a DPS ability right now. Why do I have standstill abilities when I want to be moving around through the world and grinding? It's like that, but of course you're getting more abilities. You are filling out your kit, but you do not have your full kit yet. Your full kit comes much later, and even when you get your legendary, you're going to be changing around your playstyle. So the end game of modern World of Warcraft is going to be so much different than the mid game. The mid game is basically pointless. It doesn't teach you how to play the real World of Warcraft. It doesn't really give you much role play. I guess if you do Northrend to an extent, some things kind of, hints here and there. It's kind of cool. It's kind of shitty. Voice acting is awkward. The dungeons also haven't been updated, so the models look pretty bad. The design overall, the gameplay, it's just, yeah. Basically, it's not that great. So the dungeons, you're going to be doing that a lot in between some things, and intertwined with all of the gameplay. It's just, everything is repetitive, but mostly the dungeons. It's just, I really think it all needs a rework. Okay, so let's lightly talk about PvP. Now, I got some PvP footage here. Hopefully you enjoy that. I kind of stomped, but again, I think that's more to, like, nobody really knows how to use their class because the open world isn't teaching them how to use the class. No challenge. The dungeons aren't teaching them how to play their class. So I looked up videos, how to Death Knight, and I just kind of spam stuff. I still don't know how to really Death Knight, but I kind of wreck people, and that kind of felt fun. I do like playing Death Knight, and the PvP is definitely more fun than the level 1 through 20, like, because you do have a more filled out kit. But once again, this is all role-based stuff. And level 1 through 20, you had no idea about roles. You have nothing, to really play your role. You don't even have, like, taunts proper on some classes. You don't have, really multiple heals on some classes there. Well, here, it's kind of the same thing. You have more enemies, and you have maybe 1 or 2 heal spells or 1 or 2 taunts or tank abilities. But you don't really feel it until, like, maybe level 60. You start really getting into the full class, kind of. You start getting into it. Again, this is still the mid-game, but I just really hate how I still don't feel an identity with a lot of these classes. Of course, everything is split between 3 different trees for all these different classes, and so sometimes, maybe one druid form is going to feel really good and the other just doesn't feel good at that level. There's, like, all this weird mixed balancing, and it just really sucks. So that's probably a big problem with PvP. So I might have had fun and steamrolled as a Death Knight, a fresh, hot Death Knight coming out of the press there, into the battlegrounds. Battlegrounds are always cool. I love them, but once again, the kits, they're just not balanced for leveling. I don't know what happened in vanilla. I don't know if it ever was. Probably wasn't. It's not now, and it doesn't feel good. Yeah, so, I mean, it's better. It's cool. I had fun, but I'm pretty sure that most classes and most people still aren't going to be having fun in PvP like you would in other games like Guild Wars 2. And lastly, I'm just going to talk about open world leveling, because that's the least thing to talk about. Actually, it's just, yeah, I mean, 1 through 20, you did that stuff. It's the same stuff without the cool cinematics. Northrend, again, like with the dungeons and the PvP, it's going to be a little bit better, but it's like not at the same time because, yeah, I mean, they're supposed to be open world PvP and things. And even though I was on a PvP server, a server known for PvP, it still barely happened. I had to really force it. It didn't feel that good. The open world leveling, the questing was just more of the same. Again, Northrend had some cool gimmicky stuff. I kind of liked one quest where I played as a ghoul and I had to do ghoul stuff. I was playing as the bad guys and then I sabotaged it in the end, so it kind of played like a stealth game, which is nice because I'm making a top 10 stealth game list. So I appreciated that, but I think a lot of people wouldn't. It dragged on for way too long. It took too long. It took way too long to level, and also going from dungeon, instance to back into the open world just felt really bad. It just broke the RP, and I just feel like the leveling, the mid-game leveling is just really a freaking broken and fractured experience overall. But yeah, you're gonna be open world stuff. You might find some elite mobs. That could be cool. It's hard to find them. It's not really worth finding them sometimes. If you know where they are because you looked it up, great. But for the most part, man, you're just going from quest line to quest line, and it's just really copy and paste stuff. It's really just not good. I'm telling you from the heart, guys, I really wanted to enjoy this. I thought I could do some cool stuff with Death Knight. I thought I'd be able to make like big epic pools and kind of grind mobs, like kind of like what I said like a hunter could do whenever you were leveling, because you could do that. You could just pull tons of mobs as you're going from quest to quest. But the way they designed the world later on is mobs are further apart, but their AoE radius isn't larger, so it's harder to group them all together unless they're pretty much meant to be grouped together. The questing just, at the same time, is disbalanced because you get into a zone and you have flying, but I don't think you're supposed to have flying. So like you're zippity zooming all over the place, doing like quests that are supposed to be more difficult, more challenging because you had to run through an area. Nope, you're just flying to the end, kill the boss, fly out. You know, stuff like that. The whole balance, the whole flow, the whole everything is rinse and repeat. And what charm was there back in the day when it first came out is actually evaporated and gone because you're overpowered. You can do everything without fear, and you can fly anywhere and do anything. Like, so yeah, actually levels 21 through 79 is completely inferior in my opinion, despite the balance issues that I had. But yeah, to the levels 1 through 20, it was just a better experience overall. Which I think is really sad because there's just so much content. That's so many levels, and there's so much freedom that you do have, even with the changes, right? The changes with the leveling and the balancing, but it just doesn't matter. It's still just the rinse repeat content. So yeah, I might be a little bit rambly, a little bit reiterating, but dudes, that is what you're getting into with the World of Warcraft. Anyways, guys, hopefully I filled out all of your questions. I really just wanted to rant from the heart, just wanted to speak. Yeah, that's how I feel, guys. You're doing a lot of the same stuff. But if you're looking forward to the late game content, which is going to be 80 through 109, I'm also going to do a video on endgame. Please stay tuned for that. Episodic reviews for MMOs. Absolutely, that's what I do. I like to just really dive in, and I'm not trying to show just pretty pictures and just hype up games. I want to get you excited. I'm excited for World of Warcraft. But it's also important to be honest and critical. The mid-game sucks. Honestly, buy Battle for Azeroth, get that free 110 boost, maybe play 1 through 20 so you can get into the lore, kind of the racial stuff, and, you know, really get into the World of Warcraft as a roleplay, and then mechanically skip all the bullshit and just get into the real game there at a level 110. So, even if you just make a Death Knight, you think you're skipping 65 levels? Oh, fuck, no. No, the mid-game is still a boring trudge that honestly needs a cataclysmic event to completely remake it. And that's my honest opinion. That's dungeons, the PvP, the leveling as a whole, the open world, all of that. We need more than little band-aids now. World of Warcraft. Let's make a whole world like it used to be. I would really love that.